In the latest example of how meritocracy is just a myth in the United States, the New York Times has published a lengthy feature on The View and has dubbed it the most important political TV show in America. That is what they have called it. The most important political show in America. And I'm talking about The View, where on a regular basis, not only we dunk on them, but the country dunks on them because they have absolutely no knowledge. And when I say they, I'm mostly talking about Abby Huntsman, obviously Meghan McCain, and their insanely superficial discussions about politics, which it appears they never prepare for, and just read talking points that are written on blue cards for them, and then somehow that's the most important political topic.
For years, America has been receiving daily sermons from the self-styled moral arbiters of daytime television. From the cozy couches of The View, Whoopi Goldberg and Sunny Host have established themselves as the ultimate advocates of kindness and morality by lecturing, scolding, and denouncing. A harsh, unpalatable reality, a history of incredible hypocrisy, a disconnection from reality, and an unwavering adherence to narratives that crumble when questioned, however, lie beneath their meticulously constructed facade of compassion and progressive beliefs. Tonight, we look at more than just their flaws. We dissect them. We reveal how Anna Kasparian, a voice that dared to speak out against the echo chamber, has methodically damaged their credibility and revealed their true dishonesty. Before we reveal this shocking expose and reveal the startling double standards, hit the subscribe button immediately and ring the notification bell if you're tired of the media's fake outrage and ready for the unvarnished truth. Performance alone is no longer sufficient. Real accountability is required.
Not see this one coming.
Because I want to juxtapose the kind of life Whoopi Goldberg lives and what average Americans are struggling with right now. So let's go to graphic 4 here. After landing her gig on The View, Goldberg relocated back to New York City, where she bought a full-floor loft in Soho for $4 million.
Me too. She knows.
Right,
she knows the working
right.
class.
She sold the 2-bedroom apartment in 2010 during the economic crash, of course, for just under $3 million. So she lost there. But in a search for more privacy, she moved to the New Jersey suburbs, purchasing a $2.8 million mansion in the gated.
The View is not a show that encourages open dialogue. It's a carefully choreographed demonstration of rage, moral superiority, and unwavering loyalty to a preset narrative. It is led by Whoopi Goldberg, who has changed from being a pioneering performer to the show's often disrespectful grandmother. She frequently interrupts guests and even co-hosts who disagree with the dominant progressive viewpoint, despite her advocacy for tolerance. Her claims are delivered with an aura of indisputable authority, which stifles criticism rather than promoting intelligent debate. Next is Sunny Host, the self-described high priestess of social justice. When she sees someone acting in a racist, bigoted, or unequal manner, she is prone to snap. But a quick look at her own public history reveals a startling lack of self-awareness. Hostan has drawn criticism for her generalizations about various communities and even for what some have referred to as classist remarks. She also exhibits a perplexing lack of sensitivity herself while expecting others to be sensitive.
Core is magnificent. And I know you probably don't want it, you don't want to think about it, but I just feel like I would feel a lot better with you leading the FBI, the CIA, the NBC.
No. Listen, like, you want to talk about undemocratic acts, guys? We're still in an election. Okay, in 2000. Was Liz Cheney doing anything about that?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, let's stop laundering their reputations. What are we doing?
Right.
Whoopi Goldberg is, as my brother likes to say it, gooch. Like, she's good. She's comfortable. She's happy. And when your financial stability and your comfort is secured, honestly, politics just becomes a sporting event. And the thing that's so frustrating to me is, look, I don't know what Whoopi Goldberg is aware of and what she's unaware of, right? I don't remember her commenting on politics back during the Bush era. So maybe she's totally unaware that Bush suspended habeas corpus for anyone who was simply suspected of being an enemy combatant, which, by the way, prevented individuals from legally challenging their detention.
They denigrated millions of Americans who simply held different political or cultural views, even though they advocated for inclusivity and unity. Here, differing opinions are not important. It's about a rigid, fanatical dedication to a concept that they can readily modify to suit their own requirements. Rather than the traditional conservative media, Anna Kasparian is the unexpected force that is actually exposing this dishonesty. Anna has had a dramatic and well-publicized shift in her beliefs. She used to be a key spokeswoman and co-founder of the Young Turks, a conservative media bastion. She freely acknowledges that she is disenchanted with the very philosophy that formed her professional life and that she is politically homeless. She is now an outspoken critic of the pervasive intolerance, rigid dogmatism, intellectual dishonesty, and identitarian foolishness she's seen in some segments of the modern left. Because of this development, her critiques of The View hosts are more powerful as ever.
Older women, let's keep it real, who are laughing because they find it ridiculous. But they forget that the vast majority of people don't have cushy TV daytime jobs, right? Where they're still raking in the big bucks and they don't have to worry about their financial future. For a lot of Americans, in fact, most Americans, once you hit a certain age, if you get fired, if you're in your 50s and you lose your job, you get laid off. Do you know how difficult it is for them to find another job? Do you know how rampant age discrimination is in the workplace? So, listen, it's easy for them to laugh about those fears, but those fears are real, and I would venture to say that the people who are actually out of touch are not the Zoomers who are concerned about that. It's the people sitting on that panel.
For Anna, taking pot shots is nothing new. After seeing The Matrix, she made the decision to come out as an insider. Her condemnation of hypocrisy resonates differently because she understands the inner workings, subtle berries, and mental lingo of these people. Her courage in challenging her previous ideological stance and choosing complexity over orthodoxy is a rare treasure, in stark contrast to Sonny Holland and Whoopi Goldberg's demands and demonstrations of intellectual compliance. After traveling their path, she has discovered it to be inadequate. Anna Kasparian not only disagreed with them, but she also scathingly revealed their most blatant double standards, destroying their credibility in the process. Consider Whoopi Goldberg's penchant for interrupting people. After defending free speech for a minute, she will swiftly silence a co-host or guest who deviates from the scheduled talking points. Selective application of principles is a classic kind of hypocrisy. Of course, the most egregious example was her well-known assertion that it had nothing to do with race. It was a shocking display of ignorance, or even willful apathy, from someone who regularly lectures on history and social justice. But after a minute of reflection, she was escorted back to her seat with minimal consequence, displaying a serious lack of accountability that they would never show to someone they deem problematic.
It blows my mind that anyone still believes that this country is at all based on meritocracy. It's just not. A mistake is a mistake, I get it. And I actually don't get mad simply because someone disagrees with progressives on television. I get mad when they come from a place of ignorance, like they don't know the facts of the story, and then they come out hard against progressives. If you have a counterpoint to what we believe and it's a good point.
Anna might argue that this is the best example of rules for you, but I disagree. Next up is Tsunami host, who has gained notoriety for drawing attention to perceived injustices and constantly being a victim. Critics, however, spot a clear trend. Her fervent criticism of racism and discrimination in others might mask a cavalier disregard for nuances or, on sometimes, comments from her own difficult past. She has been accused of engaging in elitism or generalizing about entire groups of people while posing as the voice of the impoverished. It's an amazing display of self-contradiction. This high-wire act of moral posturing would be exposed as an intellectual farce by Anna Kasparian's no-nonsense approach.
On the broad left, or someone who just doesn't agree with the idea of Donald Trump leading this country again. You find ways to work with the incoming administration, or do you try to fight the administration every step of the way? Well, the ladies at The View have differing opinions on this. You just heard from Alyssa Farah Griffin, who thinks that, well, there are some areas where I agree with Trump. Maybe we can look to the positives here. Others disagree. Let's take a look.
I'm going to wait and see. He's not been sworn in yet. I'm somebody who probably agrees with 75% of his policies. If he focuses on creating jobs, on bringing down the cost of living, securing the border in a responsible way, and being tough on America's adversaries,
Anna understands that preaching purity requires having a spotless record, which the show's hosts consistently fail to meet. What is the main response offered by Sonny Holston and Whoopi Goldberg against these scathing accusations of hypocrisy? Usually, it is a deafening stillness that is intentional. They rarely react to harsh criticism from the millions of people who witness their performance or from individuals like Anna Kasparian. Why? Because truly taking part would require them to embrace vulnerability, own up to their mistakes, and risk upending the very moral basis they have so painstakingly constructed. Their positions are not founded on rational consistency or genuine empathy, but rather on phony rage and rigid dogma meant to win over their loyal fan following.
So hopeful that a mixed-race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Was it though? All right, well, as you just watched, Bakari Sellers, David Axelrod, who had clarity before the election but seems to have lost that clarity after the election, Joy Reid, Sunny Hostin, they're all blaming Kamala Harris's loss on the character of the American electorate. And I think that's a big mistake. Because when you do that, number one, it's bad analysis and it's incredibly lazy. But number two, it only works to shield or provide cover for the mistakes that the Democratic Party has been making.
Ana Kasparian is not just a political commentator. The unmasking by the public is awful. By daring to question the sacred cows of her former political home, Ana has gained the uncommon moral power to speak harsh truths to those who still operate inside its rigid ideological confines. She exposes that the actual viewpoint from the progressive media echo chamber is far more nuanced, self-serving, and usually contradictory than what the hosts present to their loyal audience. The real eruption here is not a single surge of anger or a massive broadcast meltdown. It is the slow, undeniable breakdown of their credibility shown by those voices brave enough to consistently call attention to the dishonest behavior. It is the sound of their painstakingly constructed narrative crumbling under the weight of its own shocking injustices.
It feels like it almost feels like you're rubbing it in our face when you say that.
And I know they don't mean to do that.
Yeah, I agree with
but I do think that for people who deliver the news or discuss or analyze what's happening in the country, it's a big problem when you look at pretty much every news organization and realize a lot of these people went to Ivy Leagues, a lot of these people come from affluent families, a lot of these people are totally disconnected from the vast majority of Americans and the struggle.
Ana Kasparian didn't only disagree with Sunny Host and Whoopi Goldberg. She delivered a devastating blow to their basic foundation. She exposed the blatant and undeniable hypocrisy that exists in some segments of the mainstream media, showing that sometimes the most enlightening and damaging criticism comes from those who have the courage to face the truth and let go of their hurt. Are you tired of seeing the same old double standards and performative outrage from our media? Do you see the obvious hypocrisy of the Views panel that Ana Kasparian courageously exposed? What are your thoughts on Ana Kasparian's spectacular defeat? Are these figures, in your opinion, unaccountable? Leave your objective opinions in the space provided for comments below.